Welcome back to the channel, guys. With the 2021 drift season wrapped up, it is finally time to head into off-season and start the rebuild of the car. In the next few episodes, we will take you along during the rebuild leading into the 2022 season. It has definitely been a big learning experience for me, and hopefully you will learn something during the process here as well. So enjoy the content and let's get into it. So what we're basically going to do is we're going to rip out the entire wiring harness for the engine, for the fuel pumps, everything inside. We're going to be removing the relays and the fuses, and we're going to be putting in something that's called PDM. PDM is power distribution module, and it replaces fuses and relays. And also it makes it possible to be running one PDM in the back and one PDM in the front. Instead of running power cables all the way back, you only run one big power line to the PDM, and then it distributes everything in the right position, which makes it less likely to get like a voltage drop from the long cables and stuff like that. So it makes it shorter, a shorter wiring harness. It's easier to distribute, and yeah, it's more modern. You can monitor how much current each component is using, and much more. After that, when everything is mounted and planned out, Autogruppen will be doing a complete motorsport harness for the car. This is a major difference from the thing that I have done. It looked good when it was new, but it can't withstand the time as a proper motorsport wiring harness will do. So that in short is what we're going to be doing to the car with the wiring stuff. I will be going through each and every step of this process with you, so make sure you stay tuned if you're interested in seeing how we're doing it or how we're doing it. It's a bit of a new process for me as well. I work with automation at my regular job, so I have quite a good understanding about how it works, but it's still a learning process for me, because this is a couple of levels above what I have ever done, so it's going to be an interesting ride. So that's it. Let's get to work and take it step by step. Today my idea was to just run the car really hot, do it for some heat cycles, so we can do a compression test to see how the pistons are doing after one event. We're not going to be using them, but just in case I needed data, I want to do it and see how they are. Going back to the wiring system, we have a multiple reason of why we're going to be changing this. We actually found a new one now. So if you can see here, I was just about to start it again. And now the fans are just going balls out for no reason. So that's not supposed to happen. Probably a fried relay or something. That's just another thing why we're in need of changing the wiring system. So there's definitely a lot of stuff to improve during this winter, and yeah, I'm going to be going through it more closely later. But right now it's time to do a compression test to make sure everything is in what condition the engine is when we're ending the season. So let's get going on the compression test. Just start by removing the ignition coils. And as you can see here as well, all the connectors are really damaged through the years, so that's also one thing that we need to upgrade. We got sand everywhere since Mantorp as well, and gravel. Time for a compression test again. And now we're ready. The car has been idling for maybe 30-40 minutes, so it's in working temperature. A bit colder due to the fans were actually stuck in the relay, so it's actually doing the fans all the time. So we have Digify Media here as a starter. So let's see how the first cylinder looks like. Yep. Yep. Okay, it looks like we have about 8 kilos of compression. Well, that wraps up the compression test. As I thought, the first, second and third cylinder was a bit lower. Those rings were just pushed in and went straight to the track, so we never got the chance to properly break them in, as we have done with the 3 back ring sets. So we had about 8, 9, 8, I think, and then 10, almost 10, 10, 10 on the last 3. So quite okay. I think that was what to be expected. Might also have some leakage from the valve seats, but I think it's not that, because this is pretty new refurbished head, and we will see when we have to take it apart. But as it sits now, it's still working, and would definitely work for a couple of events in the start of the season if we're stuck waiting for some parts for like the pistons or something. So good to know the engine is working right now. Now we can start disassembly. With the compression test finished, it was finally time to get going on the rebuild. This time I had both Victor and Andrea helping me out, and after getting the car back on jack stands, we started tearing it down. First up was to remove our current air jack system from D2, which is going to be replaced with an upcoming product from New Performance. So more information on that later. Next up was to remove our differential, which we broke during our last event up at Mantorp Park. This needs to be taken apart to find out what actually failed inside the differential. Before we can dive into removing the wiring harness and all of the current electronics, we need to make sure that we have all the data on the different power outputs. For instance, I use 2 of the Volkswagen Charon fans on my rear mounted radiator, and I haven't been able to find the specifications on these fans anywhere. This is why we're using this clamp meter to measure up how much amps the different outputs are normally using. What's up, guys? We're back in the shop. Me and Victor behind the camera is here. I've been pushing hard this last week trying to figure out what kind of partners we're going to be having for next year. And not everything is not completely done, but there's a lot of work going on that section. But now we have 4 days until I'm going for 1 week of vacation before doing a big kickstart on the off-season projects. But we're going to be starting out today. So the plan for tonight is that we're going to be ripping out the complete wiring system of the car. We're going to be cutting the ECU harness. We're going to be collecting all the connectors and all of that stuff, but leaving the sensors in place. So it's going to be a lot of tearing down mostly. So let's get to work and see what happens. Jag får nog göra på din sida, du har längre. Så. Så. Det är inte en omöjlighet.
Jag skickar de där jävla grejerna.
Ja.
Han har pratat lite med. Och så därefter så... Mårten klipper första. Jag tänker du filmar upp det.
This is gonna be so good to get rid of. Fuck this.
Vad kostar en sån då? Så gör du inte så klippa pressa fingrarna egentligen.
Ja.
Den pressar fingrarna.
Ja, det har ju alla gjort någon gång.
Och han har gjort det ett par gånger. Ska vi lossa hela den här eller? Ska vi läboxen?
Bye bye.
Vi säger att den säljs med en mapp för Göteborg.
Ja.
Eller typ.
This is going to be so good to get rid of this as well. There's so much cables and so much unnecessary stuff when you come to modern technology. So this is going to be a good one. Helvete.
Då tar han en till. Det är säkert att ni får ha det här.
Viktigt med förlängning. Going out. It really felt wrong cutting all of those wires out, even though we knew we wouldn't be using them. But after a few cuts, we picked up the pace and we got it all out pretty quickly. I was actually really surprised of how much the old wiring harness actually weighed. It's going to be really interesting comparing the weight of the old one with the new one that Autogruppen is building. With the wiring out of the way, we rounded off the evening by removing all of the brackets that were used for the old electronics. This way, we would be able to start placing out the new units during our next visit. We also left the seats inside of the car for reference, so we know where to place the new keypad and the PDM modules. In the next episode, we receive a bunch of parts from our different partners, and I'm really excited to show you all of the upgrades that we have planned for the CLK. If you have any questions or thoughts regarding the video you just saw, just leave a comment below and I will try to answer that as well as I can.